All right. Hello. Okay, we're going to get started today. So today's training is going to be a little bit different. We've been talking a lot about food over the last few weeks, and that's cool. Food is important. Figuring out a relationship with food is so important, and I like to think about it as that, as a relationship with food. What is your relationship with food? Do you have a healthy relationship with food, a positive relationship with food? Sometimes we can be eating the healthiest foods and still have a really crappy relationship with food and with our bodies. So we want those things to be healthy. We want those things to be happy and positive. But another question that came up, and I hear this a lot, is like, I just find every excuse to not work out. Like, how do I start it? How do I actually do it? How do I actually stick with it? And so this is really important because this is something I work with my one-on-one coaching clients, because a lot of times we have a really negative relationship with working out. We see working out as like we have to go super hard, we have to be super disciplined, we have to, drive to the gym and be there for an hour. Or we think about going to the gym and we're like, oh, like the elliptical, like I don't actually want to go on the elliptical, it's not that fun. Or maybe we think of weights and we're like, yeah, like I see people lifting weights, but I don't actually know how to do that. Or it can be super intimidating. You might be like, well, Jacqueline, you run marathons, like that's so easy for you, right? And so we're gonna kind of open this up, and I'm gonna pretend as if you've had some experience with working out, with some gym time, but like you don't have a consistent, sustainable workout routine. Something that like if you go on vacation, you're like, peace, not doing anything because I hate that stuff, right? And so there's a couple of things. So if you have a journal, I would get it out. You can pause this video or definitely come back to it. And I would take some time to actually write this stuff out. I always have my clients write things out, because if stuff is just like in your head floating around, it's this cute little idea. But if you take the time to write it down, it takes it and it makes it become real. And so, I am not going to say, here is your gym membership to the new CrossFit gym. You should go 7 times a week. That's not going to be sustainable. Or even just some of the like Beachbody workouts, like here's 80-day obsession. Do this workout for the next 80 days and you'll be obsessed with working out, and somehow like that'll become a routine. You'll always have, an extra 60 minutes in your day to get a workout in. That's no. Once you get to the end of that program, you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. And that's really what I found for myself. With marathon training, it was like I would be like working out and be running, and by the time I got to the end of marathon training season, I did not want to run. I hated it so much. I thought about running as like, oh, like I thought about it and I felt this like physical reaction, like, oh, I don't want to do that. And I felt that way about working out too. And it's like, well, why? Like, why did I feel that way? And it's like, well, my motivation in the past for working out was always to facilitate weight loss. It was always to make my body smaller. So it was like, I'm only working out because I see something wrong with me that I need to fix, right? Instead of I'm working out to add value to my life, right? I'm strengthening my body, that when I'm 80 years old, I want to have the muscle on my body that I can stand up straight. And like, if I slip on the ice, I have the strength to like hold myself up, or I can squat down on a toilet and, be able to do those things independently. That's not what I was thinking about. I was thinking I have to make my body as small as possible, because if it's small, then I will accept myself and people will like me and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, we got to reframe the purpose of exercise. So this is something I want you to think about. If you were living your happiest, healthiest life, what relationship with working out, like what would that look like in your day, in your week? And this is like a year from now. So if you're here, you're like, I'm not really doing anything. A year from now, how many times a week do you want to be working out? What type of movement do you actually enjoy? And so I like using that word too, movement. Instead, I talk about the 3 M's, meals, mindset, and movement. What type of movement do you want to be doing? If you do not like dancing, going to Zumba probably isn't for you. If you don't like running, training for a marathon is probably not for you, but there's some type of movement that you do actually enjoy. Maybe the type of movement that you actually enjoy is being a part of a team sport. Maybe, playing softball or playing soccer or playing volleyball. Maybe that's the type of movement that you actually enjoy. Maybe riding your bike is the type of movement that you actually enjoy, right? Maybe lifting weights is the thing that you enjoy, right? So what is the type of movement that you actually enjoy when you're doing this type of movement? movement, you feel happiness. You don't feel like, oh, like I hate this thing and I don't look forward to it. So take some time and think about the type of movement you like. And a year from now, what would that like this, I'm living my best life moving my body. What would that look like, right? And then, okay, then we're going to break it down. If you want to be, let's just pretend that you want to be someone who is going to CrossFit class 5 times a week. Maybe you like CrossFit. You're not going to start going to CrossFit 5 times a week now. That's not going to be sustainable. You're like, cool, I'm going to do all of this. Well, it's not going to last. You're going to be like, oh, I can't do this. So you're going to start smaller, super, super, super small. In the book, The Atomic Habits, he talks about the 2-minute rule. When you're starting a new habit, you want it to be something super, super small that it takes you actually just like 2 minutes to complete. So if you want to work your way up to going to CrossFit, maybe the thing that you're going to do is like go to CrossFit or go to a gym or whatever, and you're going to do it like for 2 minutes, and you're going to just practice that. Maybe you want to run a marathon. You're going to practice running for just 2 minutes, and you're going to get really good at that. So you're creating a ritual around this habit, but you're not like, oh, I have to do all of this now. I think a lot of times we're like, no, I have motivation right now. I want to get super healthy right now. I want to lose 20 pounds right now. And then we get burned out because, again, we're just like doing all these mean things for ourselves. We're not able to sustain. So instead, try doing it smaller so that you can be consistent with it, build up those habits, build up that consistency over time. Right? The other thing that I like to talk about is NEAT. So NEAT is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So NEAT. And I didn't make this up. This is like, so NEAT is anytime that you're moving your body that's not a formal workout. So even right now, like as I'm moving my hands around, or like when I get up to go get more water, that's NEAT. I'm moving my body. It's not a formal exercise. It's not like I have to go to the gym. I'm just moving my body more. One thing that I have my clients do is get up and move their body more during the day. That's it. Like, go for a walk. Like if you're going to go get coffee, like circle around the office a little bit, do a couple things. Or take your dog out for more walks, spend time with your significant other, go for a walk in the end of the evening. Just move your body naturally like that a little bit more and add more into that. Again, so now we're not seeing exercise, a workout as like, oh, I have to be so disciplined. We're just like practicing it in our day. It's this really neutral thing. This year, my husband just broke his heel a couple months ago. So it's been hard. Like we haven't been able to do our evening walks, but last year it was one of the best things in our relationship. We would go for like an hour walk together at the end of the day with the dog. It added so much joy to our life. And it wasn't this it wasn't this like, oh my gosh, we're shrinking our body smaller. It was like, hey, this is something that's adding value to our life. It's a stress relief. We're getting to see nature. We're getting to see our neighborhood. Spend a ton of money. You spend a ton of money on your rent or your mortgage. Like go experience the neighborhood that you live in. Walking in is an amazing thing. A lot of times people don't think that walking is enough. They're like, no, I have to go do this. But it's like, no, again, walking is something that anyone can be sustainable with. Anyone can be consistent with. You don't need any special equipment with it. And it's like, if you were consistent in walking 20 minutes a day, you will start to you're going to start to see benefits, mental health benefits, and you're going to start to okay, cool. I don't have to have this crappy relationship with movement. I start to see it in a different light. So many benefits to just walking. And I like the book, The Blue Zones. They talk about people who live the longest, healthiest lives. They looked at these countries or these areas, cities, communities. And one of the things they found is that these aren't people who go to CrossFit. These aren't people who are training for marathons. These are people who just naturally move their bodies during their day. They're not driving their cars. They're like walking. They found that these are people who have to walk upstairs to get to their house. So things like that. It's really simple things, but they're doing it consistently healthily and sustainably. Instead of like sitting on their couch watching TV, for 24 hours, they're moving their body, and it's a really neutral thing. And so that's what I like to think about movement as. It's a really neutral thing. It's just something that we do. If you have kids, it's something that you can incorporate with them. And so then that also, like, especially if you have kids or if you have girls in your life, you start to see movement as this is the thing that we do to be healthy. This isn't the thing that we do to abuse our bodies. This is just what we do. This is a part of our life. This is, our healthy family habits. And so seeing it like that, and then also, like, I think back to, there were times in my family, like, I think back, like my dad, we used to go for bike rides at the end of the evening. And that was, again, like one of those like really special things. My parents aren't like health nuts. They're not like, they're not athletes, they don't work out or whatever, but I have this special memory of like riding my bike with my dad at the end of the evening during the summers, right? And so you're starting to create those memories with your family as well. So I would start with, so to sum up, if exercise is such a hard thing for you to implement, start small. Start really, really super small. Reframe the purpose of exercise. Reframe what you even call it. Maybe start to call it movement. Start to see how you can incorporate movement into your day. And then think about like a year from now. Where do you want to be a year from now? What are the small things that you can do now, right? So you're not going to become that person unless you start implementing small things that you can be consistent with. So just small, that's it, just small. So don't think like, okay, cool, I want to be, 20 pounds lighter at this date, but just what are the habits that you want to include in your day? And if you have any questions, comment below. I would love to hear, what workout routines are you loving? What are you enjoying? And it shifts, like it completely changes. 5 years ago, I couldn't run a single mile, and now I'm training for my 4th marathon. 5 years ago, I actually tried going into CrossFit, got injured, hated it. Now I've been going to a CrossFit gym for the last 2 months, and I love it because they really focus on form. They really focus on like getting stronger, learning how to do a pull-up. We're not talking about how can we make our body smaller, but just like how can we get stronger and learn new skills. So it's just that shift. When you start to make that shift and see your body a different way, good things happen. You're able to be consistent. All right, take care, guys. I hope you have an amazing weekend. Get your body moving. Yeah, do it.